Welcome to the Malygos Raid Guide. My name's Ciderhelm from TankSpot, and like the rest of these videos, these are intended for full raids rather than just for tanks, so feel free to repost them to your guild forums. I'm going to go ahead and click the focusing iris here, and he's going to land. It doesn't really matter where he's positioned or where he lands, just as long as you face him away from the raid. Give a couple seconds on initial aggro, he's a bit tricky there. And there we go. Okay, the first thing you're going to want to watch out for here is the Arcane Breath. The Arcane Breath is about 19,000 to 21,000 damage, so healers, you're going to want to watch out for the tank's health right after that occurs. And the next thing you're going to want to watch out for here, and I've got to get this in a condensed amount of time, is the Vortex. When he goes up here, he's going to summon us all into a Vortex, and it's going to deal about 2,000 damage per second to everyone in the raid. So you're going to want to make sure everybody's topped off going into this. There is some fall damage afterwards as well, so to be safe when you're inviting people to this raid, you want to make sure that everybody has at least 18,000 health after buffs, and if it's a choice between getting more health buffs in the raid or not, you always want to go with those health buffs. They are very valuable. Make sure you're getting food buffs as well. During the Vortex, you can use instant abilities, and you can, in some cases, depending on where he summons you exactly, use some melee attacks as well. And if you're the tank, try to position your camera to see the next spark. Now let me explain what the sparks are. During this encounter, there are going to be sparks coming from 4 different directions. You can identify which of these directions it's going to, or the different places where it can potentially come from, by turning your camera and watching out for the 2 pulsing blue stars in the sky. You should see them off to the right on my screen right now. Maybe it's just 1 star, but it's pulsing, and that's what matters. If a spark reaches Malygos from one of these stars after he starts to summon, and he'll summon them from random ones along this corner, and you've got one off to the right, so I'm going to start moving Malygos. If one actually reaches him, he gets a massive damage buff. It will not necessarily kill the tank. The tank can shield wall or use any other ability to get through this, but he's also throughout this encounter using something called the Arcane Bolt. If he uses an Arcane Bolt while he's got the buff from the spark, he will most likely kill them or bring them down precipitously low, and I'm not sure if that's the right word, but bear with me on that. Okay, the other thing that the sparks do is if they stack on your raid, they do give you a massive damage bonus, and multiple sparks dying in the same place, that does stack, so this is 100% necessary that your raid is constantly getting these damage bonuses, and you'll see the little lightning field where the raid is standing in right now. They have got to be getting these bonuses throughout this encounter. Be aware while you're doing this that you can root, stun, or snare the sparks in place if you want to bring them down at a specific location on top of your raid, or if they get too close to Malygos, make sure you do that. The easiest way to guarantee that all of these sparks will stack on your raid is to have the raid stand in the center of the room and have your tank move Malygos to the far side of any new sparks. That's what, if you go through this, tanks especially, if you go through this and watch this whole thing again, watch how I move him whenever a new spark comes. Keep in mind that you are going to get 1 spark right before a vortex, and you're usually going to get 1 right after. Now, the sparks that come before a vortex, they'll actually pause while he's doing the vortex, but then after the vortex is done, they will move much quicker towards Malygos. So when you're kiting him away from them, he will also summon a spark immediately afterwards. When you're kiting away, make sure you're kiting away from the one that he summoned before, because that's going to be the one that's moving quickly. And the raid needs to be aware of which one's moving faster and kill that one first. Obviously, you want to get both of them stuck on top of the raid anyway. Okay, your tank needs to understand going through this. They need to be familiar with strafing, they need to be using mouse movement, and they should have a good knowledge of their key bindings while doing this. Other than that, we just need to get him down to 50%, and it looks like we're just about there now, and we're going to go into Phase 2. Phase 2 is a lot about movement, and there's some cool things you gotta do in here. Unfortunately, you're not going to see me do them, but they're fairly simple to do. The first thing, most important thing, you're going to see magic shields come up. You're always going to be moving to these magic shields all the time. And you should see one shortly. The other thing you've got to watch out for are these Nexus Lords, and then there are also some Scions up in the air. The Scions are casters. They don't do a lot of damage as long as you're inside these anti-magic shields. The Nexus Lords, you're going to tank them, and you're going to bring them down as fast as possible. Now, when any of the Scions or the Nexus Lords die, they drop the disc that they're on. If you have players in your raid get on them, you can actually fly around and use all of your normal abilities up in the air. This is actually the only way for melee to do any damage up in the air to these Scions. So you want to make sure that your top 2 melee DPSs are getting these first 2 and they're getting up in the air. As each of the Scions above dies, they're going to drop their own discs as well, and people need to be aware of that and come down and you have your 3rd one go get the 3rd one that drops, have your 4th DPS go get the 4th one that drops. Hopefully there aren't too many after that and you've got them all dead at that point. One of the other things you'll notice me doing as a protection warrior with improved spell reflect, while the Scions are casting, while they don't do a whole lot of damage with their cast, it does help the raid. This is healing intensive. Improved spell reflect will reflect all of these, obviously when the cooldown's available and you can use it. So you will see that, and it looks kind of cool when they bounce back off. And here's a deep breath mechanic. Anyone who's on the ground needs to be inside the magic shell. You still take damage while you're in the shell, so you're not immune to it, but you take a whole lot less. Everybody inside, when a deep breath comes, you're going to need to make sure they're in the middle of one of these shells, and sometimes the shells can get fairly small during a deep breath. Now during this time, again, unfortunately you don't see me looking up, so bear with me as we go through this. We're going to keep moving through these. And you should see here, when one of these lands on top of another, it does knock your party members back, so you've got to make sure you get right back into it after you get knocked back. There it is, and now we're going to move back in. Now the melee right now are having a great time. Looks like another one of those discs fell. You just saw how that works. If we had someone else to go run on that disc, they would run over, pick it up, and fly up. Deep breath incoming. This gets really small. We do actually get through it just fine, but it scared me when we were actually recording this. This was our first kill on the 10-man. And shortly here, the rest of these... There it goes. The rest of them are dead. All the other players come back down here. We fly a little bit further through space. Now that could be bad. But fortunately, the red dragonflight is here to help. Try to make sure going into this encounter that your personal pet bar is active. If you're using a mod like Pitbull or any of the other mods available to you, make sure that your personal pet bar is active going into this, because you are going to have to watch your energy bar. That's your resource for this encounter. As you get on these drakes, there are 5 primary abilities you're going to need to worry about. There's also a sprint, which I'm not too worried about, but your first ability on your hotbar, number 1, is going to be a Flame Spike. This is a basic attack which builds combo points. Number 2 is going to be Engulf in Flames. It's a massive dot, it stacks. You're going to want to be applying this with 5 combo points and stack as many as you can throughout this encounter. For healers, number 3 is going to be Revivify. This is a heal over time, and you must target a Drake rather than the player to use this. This builds combo points just like the Flame Spike. They're not separate combo points, they're all the same. Number 4 you're going to be worrying about as a healer is called Life Burst. This uses combo points generated from Flame Spike or Revivify, and at 5 points it provides a major AoE heal. You're going to want to keep your raid fairly close to each other here. If you need to split it up, if you've got 2 healers, if you decide to use 2 healers here, you're going to want to split it up a little bit, because there are going to be these lightning fields he's summoning throughout this. Now the strategy here is relatively simple. We had 9 players focusing on DPS, we only had 1 healer, and that healer was focusing on making sure the AoE heals were going up all the time. They were not focused on DPS in any way. Those healers are going to be calling out coordinated movement. Whenever a lightning field comes, they're going to say, well, okay, everybody move to the right. In this case, we tended to move to the right. So you're going to want to make sure that you're moving with them so you are away from these lightning fields. You reduce damage a little bit here. Now you'll see Malygos himself is using an ability called Surge. The Surge... Okay, he's casting it on me. Notice I cast my Flame Shield. That's my 5th ability. The Flame Shield does require you have 25 energy, so throughout this encounter make sure you've got at least 25 energy on your hotbar, or on your resource bar. As you go through this encounter, it's about coordination. It's a whole lot about being a DPS race. It's not that easy, and I would suggest that if you have any questions about this, we're going to have a lot of discussion, I'm sure, on TankSpot.com about this. So I'll go ahead and link that in the information. Thank you for watching the Malygos video guide. If you have any questions at all, regardless of whether you're a tank, please feel free to stop by TankSpot.com and ask.